Chapter 9. The Goal. Whatever has the nature of arising also has the nature of cessation. The experience of this reality is the essence of the teaching of the Buddha. Mind and body are merely a bundle of processes that are constantly arising and passing away. Our suffering arises when we develop attachment to the processes, to what is in fact ephemeral and insubstantial. If we can realize directly the impermanent nature of these processes, our attachment to them passes away. This is the task that meditators undertake, to understand their own transient natures by observing the ever-changing sensations within. Whenever a sensation occurs, they do not react, but allow it to arise and to pass away. By doing so, they allow the old conditioning of the mind to come to the surface and pass away. When conditioning and attachment cease, suffering ceases, and we experience liberation. It is a long task, requiring continual application. Benefits appear at every step along the way, but to attain them requires repeated effort. Only by working patiently, persistently, and continuously can the meditator advance toward the goal. There are 3 stages in one's progress on the path. The first is simply learning about the technique, how it is done and why. The second is putting it into practice. The third is penetration, using the technique in order to pierce to the depths of one's reality, and thereby to progress toward the final goal. The Buddha did not deny the existence of the apparent world of shapes and forms, of colors, tastes, and smells, of pains and pleasures, of thoughts and emotions, of beings, oneself and others. He stated merely that this is not the ultimate reality. With ordinary vision, we perceive only the large-scale patterns into which more subtle phenomena organize themselves. Seeing only the patterns and not the underlying components, we are aware primarily of their differences, and therefore we draw distinctions, assign labels, form preferences and prejudices, and commence liking and disliking, the process that develops into craving and aversion. In order to emerge from the habit of craving and aversion, it is necessary not only to have an overall vision, but to see things in depth, to perceive the underlying phenomena that compose apparent reality. This is precisely what the practice of vipassana meditation allows us to do. Any self-examination naturally begins with the most obvious aspects of ourselves, the different parts of the body, the various limbs and organs. Closer inspection will reveal that some parts of the body are solid, others are liquid, others are in motion or at rest. Perhaps we perceive the bodily temperature as distinct from the temperature of the surrounding atmosphere. All these observations may help to develop greater self-awareness, but they are still the result of examining apparent reality in a composed shape or form. Therefore, distinctions persist, preferences and prejudices, craving and aversion. As meditators, we go further by practicing awareness of sensations within. These certainly reveal a subtler reality of which we were previously ignorant. At first, we are aware of different types of sensations in different parts of the body, sensations that seem to arise, to remain for some time, and eventually to pass away. Although we have advanced beyond the superficial level, we are still observing the integrated patterns of apparent reality. For this reason, we are not yet free from discriminations, from craving and aversion. If we continue practicing diligently, sooner or later we arrive at a stage where the nature of the sensations changes. Now we are aware of a uniform type of subtle sensations throughout the body, arising and passing away with great rapidity. We have penetrated beyond the integrated patterns to perceive the underlying phenomena of which they are composed, the subatomic particles of which all matter is constituted. We experience directly the ephemeral nature of these particles, continually arising and vanishing. Now, whatever we observe within, whether blood or bone, solid, liquid, or gaseous, whether ugly or beautiful, we perceive only as a mass of vibrations that cannot be differentiated. At last, the process of drawing distinctions and assigning labels ceases. We have experienced within the framework of our own bodies the ultimate truth about matter, that it is constantly in flux, arising and passing away. Similarly, the apparent reality of mental processes may be penetrated to a subtler level. For example, a moment of liking or disliking occurs based on one's past conditioning. Next moment, the mind repeats the reaction of liking or disliking and reinforces it moment after moment until it develops into craving or aversion. We are aware only of the intensified reaction. With this superficial perception, we begin to identify and discriminate between pleasant and unpleasant, good and bad, wanted and unwanted. But just as in the case of apparent material reality, so with intensified emotion. When we start to observe it by observing sensations within, it is bound to dissolve. As matter is nothing but subtle wavelets of subatomic particles, so strong emotion is merely the consolidated form of momentary likings and dislikings, momentary reactions to sensations. Once strong emotion dissolves into its subtler form, it no longer has any power to overwhelm. From observing different consolidated sensations in different parts of the body, we proceed to awareness of subtler sensations of uniform nature, arising and vanishing constantly throughout the physical structure. Because of the great rapidity with which the sensations appear and disappear, they may be experienced as a flow of vibrations, a current moving through the body. Wherever we fix the attention within the physical structure, we are aware of nothing but arising and vanishing. Whenever a thought appears in the mind, we are aware of the accompanying physical sensations, arising and passing away. The apparent solidity of body and mind dissolves, and we experience the ultimate reality of matter, mind, and mental formations. Nothing but vibrations, oscillations, arising and vanishing with great rapidity. As one who experienced this truth said, "The entire world is ablaze. The entire world is going up in smoke. The entire world is burning. The entire world is vibrating." To reach this stage of dissolution or bhanga, the meditator need do nothing but develop awareness and equanimity. Just as a scientist can observe more minute phenomena by increasing the magnification of his microscope, so by developing awareness and equanimity, one increases the ability to observe subtler realities within. This experience, when it occurs, is certainly very pleasant. All the aches and pains have dissolved. All the areas without sensation have disappeared. One feels peaceful, happy, blissful. The Buddha described it as follows. Whenever one experiences the arising and passing away of the mental physical processes, he enjoys bliss and delight. He attains the deathless, as realized by the wise. Bliss is bound to arise as one advances on the path, when the apparent solidity of mind and body has been dissolved. Delighting in the pleasant situation, we may think that it is the final goal. But it is only a way station. From this point we proceed further to experience the ultimate truth beyond mind and matter, to attain total freedom from suffering. The meaning of these words of the Buddha becomes very clear to us from our own practice in meditation. Penetrating from apparent to subtle reality, we begin to enjoy the flow of vibrations throughout the body. Then suddenly the flow is gone. Again we experience intense, unpleasant sensations in some parts, and perhaps no sensation in other parts. Again we experience intense emotion in the mind. If we start feeling aversion toward this new situation and craving for the flow to return, we have not understood vipassana. We have turned it into a game in which the goal is to achieve pleasant experiences and to avoid or overcome unpleasant ones. This is the same game that we have played throughout life, the unending round of push and pull, of attraction and repulsion, which leads to nothing but misery. As wisdom increases, however, we recognize that the recurrence of gross sensations, even after the experience of dissolution, indicates not regression but rather progress. We practice vipassana not with the aim of experiencing any particular kind of sensation